The Highlands of Scotland is one of my favourite places to ride my bike. With jaw-dropping scenery, amazing mountains and lochs, and limitless cycle paths and routes, it just blows me away time and time again. One minute you can be riding in clear blue skies, and the next, battling your way through a snowstorm. No 2 days are the same. I travelled up to the Highlands in January to ride over the mountains to the 24-hour StrathPuffer mountain bike race.
Thank you so much for watching my bikepacking film. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I bring out 2 bikepacking films just like this every single month. Before I dive into the behind the scenes, a really quick favour to ask of you. If you like my channel, if you like the sort of content I bring out, head over to Instagram and follow me on there. I'll leave a link in the description. Although I've got thousands of subscribers on YouTube, my Instagram doesn't seem to have gained as much traction. So if you like this sort of stuff, do us a massive favour and follow me on there. As well as that, I bring out a free monthly newsletter that you can subscribe to. It's completely free. There'll be a link in the description for that as well. In the monthly newsletter, I run through all of the trips that I've been on and some upcoming plans as well in more detail, and exclusive content that you don't get on my YouTube channel or my Instagram page. So if you like that, it's completely free. I'll leave a link in the description. So I got the train to Alness, and that's where I set off from, as opposed to starting from Inverness. The reason why I didn't start at Inverness is that section of the A9 and that bit just north of Inverness, I really don't like. I try and avoid that as much as possible. It's really busy, there's not a huge amount of cycling infrastructure there, so the fact I could skip it for a few pounds, I was all for that. From Alness, I followed National Cycle Network Route 1 down to Eventon. I'd actually been on this stretch before when I was coming back on the final stage of my North Coast 500 trip. If you want to see that, it was incredible. Amazing weather and scenery. Click the link up there, or there'll be a link in the description. You can watch that as well. And from Eventon, I headed up to Eileach Lodge and the Ben Wyvis estate. The Ben Wyvis estate is pretty much entirely car free. You're not allowed there unless you've got business with the people that own it. So for cyclists and walkers, it's a fantastic place to go. I didn't see a single person when I was riding through the Ben Wyvis estate, so if you're wanting some peace and solitude, this is definitely a good option for that. When you're in the Ben Wyvis estate, you make your way down to Glen Glass, and that is where Loch Glass can be found. That was that amazing loch with that tiny pink house, the only house for miles that was perched on the shoreline there. The sun came out, it was a really clear day. It was one of those fantastic days you get in the Highlands of Scotland in winter that are quite rare, where it didn't rain. I just got amazing blue skies and incredible scenery. It was really windy though. Because it's a glen, the wind tends to funnel down between the mountains, and I was getting a pretty strong headwind. But because there was no one around, I wasn't in a massive rush. It was alright, I could take my time and just plod along at my own pace. I cycled up to Loch Biach Cooley, which is a really exposed part of this area, so incredibly windy, and again, nobody around. It was a really good gravel surface, almost like a slate surface, so you do need some pretty chunky tyres if you're going to do this, but the mountain bike was perfect. You would probably be okay on a gravel bike, but it is a little bit sharp in places. As I fought my way up over the loch to the very top of that section of the estate, the sun started to appear again through the clouds. It was like on its way down to a sort of sunset mode. It wasn't quite sunset at this point, but it was piercing through the clouds and it was just an amazing glow, really incredible. And because there was no one around, I got the entire thing to myself. The final stretch for me from that point was a really fast descent through the forest tracks where I ultimately made my way down to Garve. I've been to Garve before. That's where I cycled to from Ullapool when I'd finished the Hebridean Way so I could catch the train back to Inverness. If you want to see that film, another epic one, click that card up there, or there'll be a link in the description as well. The problem with this descent, however, it had been very, very cold over the previous couple of days, and as a result it was really icy and snowy. A couple of times I had to slam on the brakes because there was just sheet ice for the entire gravel section, and if I hadn't have spotted it, I would have been in for a pretty nasty accident. So thankfully nothing bad happened, but maybe just something to consider if you're going to go up there in winter. Thankfully I made it down to Garve in one piece. I was planning on sticking to the forest tracks, but I was in a little bit of a rush now. I wanted to get to the StrathPuffer event before darkness so I could set up the camp and absorb some of the amazing atmosphere. So instead, I cycled on the main road, which isn't ideal, from Garve down to Contin, which is where the event takes place. I've never been to StrathPuffer, but I have heard of it. It was something that I really wanted to check out and just see what all the fuss was about, basically. So I camped at the actual event. Everyone's wild camping there. It's a really great atmosphere. It was really exciting to watch. There was loads of different people doing it from all walks of life. People were going for a 24-hour solo time trial. Some people were doing it on single speed. Some people were doing it as part of a team. So one guy would ride and the other guys would rest and sort of rotate that way. It was really exciting to watch. I managed to catch a glimpse of some other YouTubers, which is always quite nice to see, as well as some pretty famous people as well, like Jenny Graham and Sean Conway, who were doing the event or maestroing the event, which was really cool. I was so inspired by the grit and determination that riders were showing to finish the event. It really made me want to enter the next year. It wasn't something I was expecting. I thought the idea of a 24-hour time trial in winter in the Scottish Highlands in the snow and loads of mud was not something I thought I'd ever fancy. However, it's more of the mental battle, and it's been a while since I've put myself through a really challenging event where I've got to focus 100% and give my absolute all. So it's definitely something I'm considering for next year. So overall, if you're thinking about doing StrathPuffer, I would 100% recommend it. It's a brutal event, but it's really rewarding if you can manage to muster up enough effort to do it. If you're going to do it though, make sure you do what I did and do a little bikepacking trip either before or after the event, because that part of Scotland is such an incredible place. You don't just want to be riding there in the dark, you've got to see it in its full glory in the day. So that's my top tip for that one. Overall, it was a fantastic trip. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.